about the use of debt to acquire income-producing real estate. In these examples, debt was my leverage. I can acquire much larger investments and get ahead faster than someone who simply works hard and tries to invest with their savings, otherwise known as equity. A person who knows how to use debt to acquire assets has superior financial leverage over someone who does not understand how to harness the power of debt. My rich dad said, "The rich use debt to win financially, and the poor and middle class use debt to lose financially." But in order to use debt as a tool of leverage, a person needs to have more financial education. In the following sections of this program, I will offer ways to increase your financial education. But first, let me address some other forms of leverage. In addition to debt, there are other forms of leverage that Kim and I used to retire early on. I could not have acquired so many assets in such a short period of time if I had not used two different forms of financial leverage: OPM, other people's money, and OPT, other people's time. In addition, there are other important forms of leverage that you may not have even thought about that will influence your ability to gain your financial freedom. Your health, your time, your education, and your relationships can all assist you or hinder you in your goal to retire young and retire rich. Obviously, health is a very important form of leverage. All too often, people do not appreciate the value of their health until they begin to lose it. What benefit will early retirement serve you if you were too ill to enjoy it? Time is also an important leverage. Once people begin to fall behind financially, it is often difficult to find the time to get ahead in life. I often hear people say, "He got lucky because he was in the right place at the right time." I think a more accurate statement is, "He got lucky because he was educated, experienced, and prepared to take advantage of the opportunity when the opportunity presented itself." Education is an important form of leverage. The difference in earnings between someone who drops out of high school and a person who graduates from college can be measured in the millions of dollars when measured over a lifetime. Yet a person who graduates from college but has little financial education will often fall far behind a person who is financially educated, with or without a college education. Importantly, leverage can also be found in your business and personal relationships. The following are examples of the leverage found in relationships. First, I have seen many people suffer because they work for a business that is run by incompetent owners or management. I have also seen people do very well financially because they associate with financially knowledgeable people. It is important to learn from both. Second, a labor union, such as the teachers' union or pilots' union, is a form of relationship leverage. A professional organization such as the American Medical Association can be a form of relationship leverage. Unions and professional associations are people with professional leverage that often bind together to protect themselves from people with strong financial leverage. And third, many people do well financially because they have excellent financial advisors. There are also many people who suffer financially because they have incompetent financial advisors. So the people around you can be a great source of leverage, positive and negative. Rich Dad used to say, "Being rich is not so much what you know, but who you know." Take a minute to think about your relationships. Are they helping you gain your financial freedom? Finally, leverage can be found in your spare time. Many of the people I have met or read about became rich in their spare time rather than on the job. Hewlett-Packard and Ford Motor Company were started in garages, and Dell Computers was started in a college dorm room. A friend of mine was a lawyer by weekday and real estate investor on the weekends. Today he's financially secure and donates his legal services for free to charitable organizations, and plays with his kids or plays golf full-time. He just turned 39. So I want to emphasize that there are many forms of leverage that you can use today to acquire and create assets to allow you to get ahead faster. If you want to retire young and retire rich, you need to find the leverage that works best for you. The importance of the word "and." One definition of leverage is the ability to do more with less. Rich Dad added to that definition by saying, "Leverage is the ability to do more and more with less and less." Rich Dad explained further by saying, "The rich keep adding more and more leverage, which is why they get richer and richer. The poor and middle class stop adding more leverage. The point at which you stop adding more leverage defines your financial station in life. For many people in the middle class, their academic and professional education is where their education stopped. The rich do not stop there. They add more leverage by adding financial education to their list of more and more leverage. The people falling behind today include those who have gained some form of leverage but are failing to gain more. As Rich Dad used to say, a college degree does not entitle you to stop learning or to stop increasing your leverage. Neither does $1 million in the bank entitle you to stop learning. In fact, if you stop learning, your money will soon go to someone who has continued to keep learning. Your money will go to the person who realizes that true leverage is the ability to constantly do more and more with less and less. As long as you are willing to think in terms of doing more and more with less and less, the more and more you will earn with less and less work. All you have to do is keep this idea in your head, and it will be easier for you to retire young and retire rich. Here's a suggestion. Get a clean sheet of paper and begin to write your answers to this question. How can I do what I do for more people with less work and for a better price? Rich Dad called this the $1 million question. It demands that you be creative not only about your finances, but also about the resources that you have available to you. It's an important question, so take the time to list all the possibilities. The reality of leverage. Over the years, Rich Dad taught me many important lessons that radically affected the direction and outcome of my life. The lesson on the power of a person's reality is one of the most important. Rich Dad said, "What you think is real is your reality." Being a religious man, Rich Dad often quoted the passage from the Old Testament, "And the Word becomes flesh." He constantly said to his son Mike and me, "Whatever you think and say is real becomes your reality." He worked hard at taking what was outside his reality and making it a part of his reality. It was not money that made my dad richer. It was his ability to expand his reality that ultimately made him richer and richer. Is investing risky? People often say, investing is risky. To them, that idea is real, and because they think it is real, it becomes their reality, even though investing does not have to be risky. While there is always risk, just as there is risk in crossing a street or riding a bicycle, the acts themselves do not have to be risky. So many people think investing is risky because they think their ideas are real. A few months ago, a noted investment advisor from a famous bank and I were being interviewed on a radio program. The noted advisor started out, "Robert Kiyosaki states that people should start their own businesses if they want to be rich. What Mr. Kiyosaki fails to realize is that most people cannot start their own businesses. Starting a business is far too risky. Statistics show that 9 out of 10 businesses fail in their first 5 years. I've seen and heard those same statistics quoted before," I said, "and from my experience, I would say those statistics are accurate." "So how can you recommend people start their own businesses?" asked the noted advisor. "First of all," I replied, "I do not recommend people start their own businesses. I state that everyone should mind their own business. When I say mind their own business, I mean they should mind their investment portfolio. That does not necessarily mean start their own business, although a well-run business is often the asset that makes the rich very rich." "So what about the risk?" asked the financial advisor. "First of all, while 9 out of 10 do not make it, 1 out of the 10 does. Once I realized the odds, I knew that I needed to be prepared to lose at least 9 times. In fact, I have been that 9 out of 10 that did not survive twice, but then I made it on my 3rd try." "So how did you feel when you failed?" asked the investment advisor. "Was it worth it?" "I felt terrible the first time I failed. I felt even worse the second time. But yes, to me it was worth it. If I had not failed twice, I would not have retired 18 years early, nor would I be financially free today," I replied. It took me a while to recover each time. Yet even though I felt bad, I was mentally prepared to keep going 10 times, even 20 times if I had to. I did not want to fail that many times, but I was willing. "It sounds too risky for me, and it is too risky for most people," said the advisor. "I agree," I replied. "It is especially risky if you are not willing to fail, or fail only once before you quit. It is even worse if you think that failing is bad." I was taught by my rich dad to understand that failing is part of winning. Even though I realize I was successful in the past, I still realize that the odds remain the same. Every time I start a business, I continue to be aware that 9 out of 10 do fail. "Why do you say that?" asked the commentator. "Because I always need to remain humble and respect the odds. I have seen too many people build a business, make a lot of money, get cocky, and start another business thinking the odds are now in their favor. While their odds may have improved a little because of their past experience and success, we all need to be humble enough to know that the odds remain 9 out of 10 for all startup businesses." "I still think it is too risky," said the advisor. "Most people are not prepared to run their own business." "There is some truth in that statement also," I replied. "Yet I will remind you that less than 100 years ago, most people were small independent business people. People were strong enough to run their own businesses in spite of the risks. It was only until people like Henry Ford began building mega businesses that more and more people became employees. In fact, small businesses are responsible for almost all of the job growth and a large portion of all taxes collected. So in spite of the risks, more and more people continue to start their own businesses. Free enterprise gives us all the opportunity to take risks and grow. If these individuals did not take risks, our nation would not be as prosperous as it is today. People who take risks increase prosperity. The risk-reward ratios are in your favor. Years ago, Rich Dad explained to his son Mike and me the importance of knowing that having a winning strategy sometimes meant losing. Rich Dad was aware of the 9 out of 10 failure rate of most startup businesses. He was also aware that the reward for making it only 1 out of 10 times far outweighed the risk of losing 9 out of 10 times. Rich Dad explained, "Most people think only in the realm of what is smart and what is risky. Financially intelligent people think in terms of risk and reward. In other words, financially intelligent people weigh the risks and they weigh the rewards. If the rewards are great enough, they will come up with a strategy or a plan that will increase their chances of success regardless of how many times they lose before they will win." A winner's strategy. For example, I have a friend who uses his own simple risk-reward strategy for day trading the stock market. He knows that chances are he will find a market move on 1 out of 20 trades. That is why he sets up what he calls a money management strategy. If he has $20,000 to play the market with, which is 1/10 of the $200,000 in total cash he has, he will only risk $1,000 per trade. In other words, his strategy is to always have enough money to lose 19 out of 20 times. I have seen him lose $14,000 on 14 straight trades and then suddenly make $50,000 on the next market move. His winning strategy took in the probability of losing 19 out of 20 times, although he's never lost that many times in a row. Yet, each time he wins, he immediately goes back to the same odds, which are 1 out of 20. He knows the odds do not change regardless of how much money he has. He